Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Podcast. I am Patrick Lyons.
I'm Suzie Hunter. Patrick, what a Coors Field game we just witnessed here on this Sunday, July 2nd. Last home game before the All-Star break.
It was a Coorsian loss, yes, 14-9.
It was very Coors.
And I believe when you include the 3 runs that the Rockies were able to score in the 8th inning, it helps the run differential this week for the 9-game homestand to just minus 39. Oof.
Ooh.
Now, 24 of that goes to the Angels, but even still, you take out the 24.
Because we had some big losses against the Dodgers, too. Just overall, a rough time. A tough time.
Somehow they almost had a winning homestand. Like if they had won today, that would have changed some things. They go 4-5. They lose the series, of course, to the Tigers. They lost the one to the Dodgers. They did win against the Angels, the one that seems like they definitely didn't win that one. No, they did.
They won that series, yeah. I mean, I feel like both teams lost that series in a way, though, because that 25-1 loss did feel like the biggest loss. I mean, it literally was, but it felt like it just had bigger repercussions. But we're not talking about the Angels series. We're talking about the Tiger series, a series that we actually did lose.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about the Tiger series just yet. Maybe we should talk about our good news. We've got an all-star!
Yes, we have we knew we would get one.
Legally obligated
to get one, but we found out today that Elias Diaz is the Colorado Rockies representative at the 2023 All-Star Game. It's the first time a catcher from the Rockies has had this honor. He was very excited about it. Apparently he was a little emotional about it, but we got to talk to him about it after the game. Yeah, so you're ready for it? All right, so yeah, here is what Diaz had to say about his news today.
It's something really special, especially just the way it happened. I wasn't anticipating it at all. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was very emotional, very grateful for it. I'm happy that it happened. The way it happened, I'm grateful for it. The way the season's gone, grateful for the team. I'm grateful for my family, my support, and truly honored.
Liz, did you know or do you know that you're the first Rockies catcher to ever make the All-Star game? And what does that mean to you, being the first Rockies catcher?
Sí, de verdad que
yeah, no doubt. I was told that before the game, and it's an honor. Speaking with myself, and early on in the game, it's just something special. My name's going to go on in history here in Colorado, and I take that with extreme honor, and it's something special to me, and hopefully, the generations behind me can appreciate that.
Ryan McMahon said the other day, you're the team's MVP. Obviously, everyone was so excited for you when the news came out. How does it feel to have the support of your teammates to acknowledge how good you've been this year?
Yo creo que todo.
I think this clubhouse as a whole, we pull each other, up, and we have the support with everybody here. McMahon is one of the greats. I love that guy to death. He's been there for me, and he's got that support for me as a whole. But I think as a family here, we treat each other as a family. It's a clubhouse. We're all united, and we're all as a team here together, pulling for each other. So it's an honor for sure.
What are you most looking forward to when you get to Seattle?
I mean, I don't know. I just want to enjoy the experience, enjoy the moment, and just embrace it.
Yeah, congratulations, Elias Diaz. What an honor.
I was on MLB.com trying to find out, get ready, get the first immediate tweet out, and they were going through the roster, and they did all the pitchers from the American League and the National League. Mm-hmm. I'm like, oh, you're really making us sweat it out. And we were getting close because the game was ending there. They finally made the announcement in the 9th. Mm-hmm. And then I saw who some of the other All-Stars were, Josiah Gray for the Nationals, and Heimer Candelario has been alongside Ryan McMahon as one of the best third basemen in the game. So I go, it's McMahon. That's who it's going to be. And then they announce Elias Diaz. So, though, of course, will be some injuries along the way, and you never know what could happen. The interesting thing with McMahon, and one of the reasons why I kind of thought he could have an edge, because there weren't a ton of third baseman or second baseman having huge years. Mm-hmm. Certainly Arenado's the starter. Maybe not necessarily an all-star. If you just look at his numbers, his name alone is an all-star. So
yeah, I think that's really what got him on this team.
Yeah, if Austin Riley was starting, it would be curious to see if McMahon would have gotten it over Arenado, because McMahon actually has been better. So McMahon being able to play second base, if someone gets hurt, if say Luis Arias can't start or his backup can't, then maybe McMahon actually does slide in there, Could be a pipe dream for a team that's in last place in the National League to get more than one representative, but we can always hope.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if the Rockies necessarily are seen as deserving of having multiple All-Stars this season, when a lot of teams are doing a lot better.
Yeah.
But we
very
know in
true.
our hearts that McMahon is All-Star caliber.
Right when they made that announcement that Elias Diaz, first catcher in 31 seasons of Rockies baseball, was their All-Star, Ryan McMahon hit an opposite field home run. Now, he knew ahead of time, like they knew before the game. If you're watching on AT&T Sportsnet, they showed, the entire team celebrating, which was such an awesome sight to see. But still, they made that announcement, and then McMahon homers to say, like, you're going to snub me? He had been snubbed a couple hours prior. But still, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, the timing was pretty funny on all of that. And Diaz came up to bat, and he struck out. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Come on, man.
Yeah,
No, and
Rockies' luck.
he is so deserving of this. He has just been incredible this season. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, he's been their MVP. I mean, both McMahon and Diaz have been amazing on both sides of the ball. Defensively, the numbers are great. Offensively, the numbers are great. Maybe more so for Diaz because he's doing it as a catcher at a premier defensive position, as Buddy continues to remind us. And, Diaz has been doing it a little bit more consistently. For the month of June, he's kind of fallen off, whereas McMahon has stepped up. But for the first 2 months of the season, it was only Elias Diaz doing it, and doing it with a pitching staff that had been so banged up that had it been somebody else behind the plate, I mean, it could have been a 29-1 kind of game. So
Yeah.
thanks for Elias Diaz for only keeping it 25-1.
Yes, thank you. We will never stop talking about that 25-1 loss. Never.
No.
For as long as I live, I will never. I wasn't even there. And I'll never forget it.
That's the happy anniversary that pops up in your phone. Not your friend's wedding. It's the 25-1 loss. You're like, oh yeah, and the day they traded Mike Moustakas. Oh yeah, I think my friends got married. Anyway, yeah, it's the 25-1
Literally,
game.
I will always think of her wedding and that game as one and the same. Although, the wedding obviously will have a much better outcome.
I'm always reminded of my wedding anniversary because on the night before, Roy Halladay threw a perfect game.
That's right. Yes.
And Tom McCarthy, who is an announcer for the Phillies, his brother was at my wedding. We're related through marriage, which is to say we're not related at all. And then on my honeymoon was the Armando Galarraga perfect game that ended up being a one-hitter because of the safe call at first base. So whenever I see those clips, I go, oh, I remember where I was on those days. So.
Yeah. No, you never forget that stuff. We have, I believe we have a Tigers fan in the chat right now,
Couple.
Dog Pound. He had fun. He had a fun series. He loves our ballpark. Yeah, no shit, you love our ballpark.
I tweeted this out when we got the attendance figures. I was looking it up. And so on opening day, Detroit was in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And the Rays did the best they could on opening day, 25,000 people.
That's huge for them.
Good job,
I didn't
Tampa.
know they've ever gotten that many people in that stadium.
Yeah, no, that was a world record for the Rays. Then the Tigers had their home opener in Detroit, Comerica Park, against the Red Sox, and they had 44,000, which is to say on Friday and Saturday night, more people saw the Tigers in Colorado than actually saw the Tigers in Detroit that one time. You also had 40,000 sold, and there were a lot of people there, on Sunday. You do that math, I think it was like 137,000 people over these 3 games. The top 4 attended Tigers games is 121,000. They had 1 game against the White Sox in Chicago and 3 in Philly, and that totaled 121,000. That's 4 games. More saw them in 3 days this weekend at Coors Field. The Tigers are clearly beloved in Colorado.
Yeah, seriously. I will say, there was it wasn't like, when the Dodgers are in town or when the Cubs were in town, but like there were a decent number of Tigers fans, but they're not obnoxious like other fans.
Nah.
They know their place.
They do.
They know where they stand.
I did hear them a lot more on Sunday, but you're right. It wasn't annoying. It was just the smattering. It's like, hey, good for you guys.
Yeah.
You're welcome back in another 2 years.
Yeah.
That's
See ya
fine.
later when we have a totally different product, hopefully.
Oh, how many people are going to be around? I didn't mean to say people like that. I didn't say players on the roster.
I won't live that long. I'll be dead by then.
Like, I didn't mean like in the media or the front office. I meant on the roster
You mean
itself.
players, okay.
Yeah. But in that 14-9 loss, Tigers hit for the home run cycle. Solo homer, 2-run homer, 3-run homer, and a pair A pair of grand slams.
Pair of grand slams. That was tough. I mean, it's tough to see your pitchers give up a grand slam, but to have it twice in one game when we are so starved for grand slams, oh man, that was painful. That today was painful.
It was. Baez hits one out. First pitch, I think almost all of the home runs that Seabold gave up was on the first pitch. I think the one that Hollowell gave up too, also first pitch. They were kind of attacking. They had a really good game plan in general, but yeah, grand slam. It was 4-0 before the Rockies could even get up. So unfortunately, it was one of those games. We did have a couple transactions before the game.
Yes,
we had
we did
Fernando
have
Abad.
He's
Came
back.
back from
He's
AAA.
back.
Back
Got
on the 40
DFA'd
man.
earlier this season, and he's back for more.
He's back. You had Peter Lambert went down, did his thing, did a nice job in his first start in 641 days.
Yeah.
That's a number, to say the least. He did a nice job.
Also, remember, Peter Lambert was my pick to just like be the dark horse best start of the season, which did not happen Saturday night.
We'll talk about Friday night start because that was my pick, so I'm feeling decent about that. But maybe I'm glad we talked about it earlier in the week. We were flush with Connors down to 1. We are just a Connor kind of franchise. Connor Kaiser designated for assignment. But similar to Ty Block and Fernando Abad, I think the same thing with Kaiser of you get designated for assignment, but you're going to come back through the organization and you'll stick around with Albuquerque because also the Rockies are going to need some of these guys eventually later on. It's convenient for them to play around the 40-man and do those things. The Dodgers do it a lot. So I think Kaiser will be back in the org.
Yeah, I think it'll be the situation that we've seen where, they're just making room on the roster. He'll more than likely stick around.
I'll have to look it up. Didn't get a chance, but Lambert was the 13th different starter for the Rockies as far as starting pitching goes.
Physically ill right now.
That's a lot.
I'm ill.
Guys.
Why are we so cursed in terms of starting pitching this season?
Yeah,
Who put a
rough.
curse on the Rockies? It's very rude.
Yeah, this All-Star break cannot come quick enough.
Yeah.
We did have today, Ezekiel Tovar extended his hit streak to 15 games.
15 games for our young superstar. I'm so excited for him. I love seeing him produce. He's just like really getting into a groove.
No, he really has. He's been absolutely fantastic. He's been even better since he's become a dad. And he's another guy that if you head over to the DNVR.com and check out the article about Elias Diaz, that Tovar in a year in which there hasn't been a ton of really great NL shortstops, Ezekiel Tovar with his RBI single today gave him 41, second most RBI in the National League, folks, behind Francisco Lindor. Ezekiel Tovar, 41. Second most RBI. We're not talking about, according to rookies in the NL West.
No.
According to rookie shortstops, no, second most. So, he's on the outside looking in, obviously, but he's been really, really great so far all year.
Yeah, this is the kind of guy where you're just like, okay, how long until everyone else realizes this is a player you really need to be watching?
I love that.
Because people haven't realized it yet. We know it. Rockies fans know it.
And, you pointed out at the beginning of the year this idea that Colorado players can get overlooked. They really have to kind of go overboard to get that kind of attention. Corbin Carroll suffers from that same issue, except he does it now. He got voted to start in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
He is head and shoulders, I think, better than Tovar right now. He's having a Rookie of the Year MVP kind of season for the Diamondbacks, so that's going to be a lot to overtake. But even still, he's got the attention. So even if he kind of falls off a little bit, people are just going to remember starting for the National League All-Star team, Corbin Carroll.
I mean, when Kevin Durant is wearing your jersey at a game, like, that's how you know you are doing well. That's how you know your name is not leaving anyone's thoughts anytime soon.
Yeah. No, it's true. We can't even get Uncle Jeff to come out to a game. I mean, come on. Bruce Brown, he's not really a Nugget anymore, but that's all right. The 10-inning game, third extra inning game on Saturday. Rockies did lose that 4-2. Thanks to, and I don't mean thanks, but a 3-run home run by Zach McKinstry. You know why he hit that home run? He's a former Dodger prospect.
Of course. Why does this always happen to us?
It was the second quickest extra inning game at Coors Field because it was 2 hours, 41 minutes. Second quickest ever, September 14th, 2008, was a 1-0 game. This one at least had a little bit of action. So that was pretty quick in general. And then Friday, the lone win of the series, 8-5. Austin Gomber, really good second consecutive win. He's also has all the last 3 wins by a starting pitcher for the Colorado Rockies.
That's strange. That is strange. But yeah, he seemed he hasn't. Yeah, a lot of starts lately have not been very good, but it was great to see him in a good mood, coming off a great start. And of course, Friday was, a fireworks game too. So all the families were in there, but it was so cute. This was maybe one of my favorite moments of the entire season. But Austin Gomber's 2 young sons were in the clubhouse with him, and Gomber just held Charlie, the baby, during his interview, and it was super cute. He was being so good too. Obviously, those kids are on camera a ton because Austin's wife, Rachel, great influencer. She makes a lot of content with the kids, so they're used to it. They've been on camera a lot. But he was just holding them during the interview, so at the end, I'm just like, does Charlie have a comment? And Charlie just goes Austin's like, oh yeah, Charlie, come on. Do you want to say hi? And he just goes, hi. I'm like,
he's
okay,
a natural.
hold on. First of all, he's a baby. I'm like, I didn't know he could talk like that. That was really clear. It was very funny.
That's cool.
So that was just such a cute moment.
I like that.
I absolutely loved that I got to witness.
A couple years ago, it seemed like there weren't a ton of kids that were coming around the clubhouse. And I don't know if it's particularly this group, they're very close knit, or there's just more kids, but it's nice to see that because, a couple of those kids will be getting drafted, and 1 or 2 will even, make the majors at some point. So that's pretty neat to have that happen. But
yeah, statistically,
yeah,
at least one of those kids has to be a future major leaguer.
Maybe some off-season content we'll draft the kids and say who's.
I'm claiming them right now. I'm drafting all of the Bard kids. Those kids have so much energy. I can just tell they could be elite athletes. I've never seen those kids walk. They are only running.
You've tipped your hand, so now I'm gonna have to make sure I draft one early, even if they're not on my board. Because look, I gotta have a better team of future Rockies kids. That's great.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Gomber goes 7 innings, only gives up the 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Only Kyle Freeland has gone 7 innings so far this year. He's done it twice, so it was nice to see Gomber be able to do that. He was also the first Rockies starting pitcher to go at least 7 innings at home since the Chad Kuhl game. So I'm talking about that a lot this week. That's pretty cool. And then Rockies, with the win, do finish with a 9-18 record in June, tied for the second lowest winning percentage in June in franchise history with the 2012 club that lost 98 games. So,
oh boy, yeah, the numbers are not in our favor here. The stats are not in our favor. This is just, now that we've gotten over the fun May that we've had, it was a lot of fun. Now that we've gotten over that, it's looking more and more like this is the 100-loss team that we've been dreading.
And we have about 3.5 home games in the month of July remaining. They're not home that much. Of course, Yankees, Astros, and then they finish up the final week of July. Just not a ton. All Thursdays are days off.
I was going to say, I was wondering if you would notice that we don't have a Thursday game until August 10th.
Yep. So
that is crazy.
Join a Volo Sport League on a Thursday night, people. Why not?
The great thing is, we do kickball on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And I haven't really been able to make it to any of them. Now I can. Now I have actually no excuses.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
July is going to be your month, kickball-wise.
Kickball-wise, it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a big one. And you talk about the numbers not being really great. One of the numbers that is great, 15, is the percentage off when you come to the DNVR bar and you're a diehard.
There we go.
Get yourself signed up and get 15% off food and drink. All drink. Every drink you could think of. Drink is 15% off on the drink.
That's huge.
Drink and drank. 20% off all the gear at DNVRlocker.com.
Where's my post-game beer, by the way?
20% off all of the takeovers. We've got 2 coming up still at the remainder of this year. In fact, that's one of them at the end of July. Oakland. Let's go.
You know what? I think we were saying this on the show on Friday, but I'm like, the Rockies could really win that one. They could really run away with that one.
We
could have a 25-1 win.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Or perfect game.
We could have a perfect game. We could accomplish something here. So this is definitely one where you want to get some tickets for it.
Can we give the perfect game guarantee that there are actually companies that work in sports business of hey, you can say if the team if someone throws a perfect game, you can give a full refund to everybody for one of those things. Like a Mattress Mac type situation. We'll have to find out if there's a perfect game thrown for our takeover on July 29th against the A's. Mm-hmm. Maybe. But it's only $40 to go. And if you want to get 2, get the A's game and then the one in September against the Giants, you can actually save even more money for being a diehard. It's pretty great.
Yeah, no, I love that we're doing. You have the potential to get like a little like 2-for-1 kind of deal, not two
Yeah.
for one, but like you book 2 takeovers and you'll get a little money off of that.
Cool. And if you already have like the Rocky shirt too, we can swap that out and give you something else. So it's pretty nice. We're like a family-run business, so it's not like, oh man, I'm trying to get somebody on the horn and I'm sending these emails and no one's responding to me about the shirt and all the
like,
details.
people respond.
No, people respond. Exactly.
The deal
right.
with these two, for these takeovers, you get a free app at the bar while you're waiting for the bus.
Whoever thought of that, that was genius.
Genius. Did you think of that?
Maybe.
Was that you?
Yeah, I did
Okay.
actually.
Just take credit for it if it's you.
I also think the Mountain Beach Sour is amazing. It's that time of the year. The guava flavoring that's there, the taste of guava, I should say. The juices are immaculate, as is the pineapple flavoring that goes in there. Pineapple blend, I should say, with lime, tart lime. In fact, it's amazing. Go to breckbrew.com, find out where you can get it. Anywhere in the world. Anywhere. Breck Brew
Anywhere.
Locator. Find out where you can get it. breckbrew.com to find a beer near you. A taste of Colorado made with 100% Colorado ingredients. And summertime is here, so Illegal Pete's has to be the spot for buddies, beers, and brews. Legal Pete's.
Beers and brews are the same thing, so what
They
are we
are.
doing here? What are we
So
doing here?
beers, buddies, and burritos?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
correcting.
That's it.
Just trying to keep us on track here.
Burritos, buddies, and...
Bruce.
Yes.
I was like, which one did you not say? I'm very tired. It's been a very long
We're
weekend.
playing a game within an ad read. This is Inception type thing. We're really making folks pay attention.
I'm like too hungry to be talking about Illegal Pete's without having it right in front of me right now.
Their burritos are fantastic. And also, too, you get 5 refreshing 16-ounce beers for $15. Hang out on the patio of Illegal Pete's. I want to talk about some of the weird and wild and wonderful events over the course of this weekend.
We should.
There were many. Let's start with the wonderful, Miguel Cabrera, final series at Coors Field before he retires and goes off to Cooperstown.
But first, he gets a weekend at the Broadmoor.
Do
Before
you?
he goes to Cooperstown, he gets a trip to the Broadmoor because that's one of the gifts that the Rockies have been giving to these iconic guys playing through Coors Field for the last time.
Do you think Miguel Cabrera ever shows up
No,
at the Broadmoor?
I don't think any of these dudes are ever going to show up at the Broadmoor.
I think Larry Walker might. He got one in 2021 for his number retirement.
Okay, you know what? I think Colorado players
Sure.
will or could. Pujols is never going to the Broadmoor.
You don't think Yadier Molina's going to Colorado Springs?
I mean, I would love to see like all 3 of them like pick the same weekend and go together and just
Right?
make a thing out of it. But they never will.
They never will.
They never will. I hope they do. I hope to God they do, but they never will.
The connection between Miguel Cabrera and the Rockies is actually kind of significant. Now, obviously, he's been playing in the American League since 2008, but if you look at active players with at least 100 at-bats against Colorado, he ranks first in batting average, on-base percentage, 4th in slugging. He got the 3,000th hit against Antonio Senzatella
Exactly.
with Elias Diaz, fellow Venezuelan, behind the home plate.
Just like
Jonathan Dazit in center field.
all Venezuelans, like in that immediate impact of the at-bat.
And as Kevin Henry pointed out to me over the week, the run to Rocktober in 2007 started against Miguel Cabrera's Florida Marlins. At the time, it was September 15th. Florida won 10-2. Miggy had a grand slam during that big loss that he handed to the Rockies, had 5 RBI, and the next day, Rockies go on that historic run. And it kind of all starts with that. I don't know if you noticed when they gave him, his free tickets, which does not include sodas. You get waters, but not sodas at the Broadmoor. Like it's a cruise. You got to pay extra for that. I'm not sure. Couldn't read the fine print from the press box.
Okay.
But they have the little placard from the auxiliary scoreboard in right field, which was really cool. Bud Black came out. Owner Dick Monfort was there. And so was bench coach Mike Redman, who was a teammate of Miguel Cabrera back in 2004 with the Florida Marlins.
Miggy is old as hell, man. What the longevity on this dude.
Yes.
That is crazy. Good for him.
He's played a long time. Longevity, right?
Longevity.
He's played a
Got
long
it.
time.
Okay.
He has.
All right. I'm following.
I also realized, so this is wild. we talked about it a little bit during the week. Kevin Padlo traded in that Herman Marquez deal. 2 big leaguers, 1-for-1. Jake Miggy for Corey Dickerson, and then it was Herman Marquez for Kevin Padlo. Padlo's bounced around the big leagues with 4 different teams. Then after the Moustakas deal, he gets designated for assignment. Well, in the same week that Padlo finally makes his Coors Field debut, former Rockies third base prospect Tyler Nevin makes his debut with the Detroit Tigers. Thought that was kind of neat.
That was really neat. That was very strange, too.
Yeah.
I don't think Tyler Nevin necessarily had a good weekend at Coors Field, though. I felt a little bad.
Yeah, he did make an error today and then was almost promptly removed from the game defensively.
Yeah.
You know, that was that. What was wonderful was news on Brendan Rodgers. Now, I talked to him back in early May, and he's like, yeah, I'll be back before the end of the year. How much, you know, are we talking like the final few weeks? But Buddy did say over the weekend that, you know, he could be back upwards of like 50 to 60 games. That seems like a lot, but, you know, he hit on the field in the batting cage on Saturday at Coors. He's been taking ground balls for a little while, which is really great to see. He should go on some rehab assignments, maybe for 3 to 4 weeks, kind of give him a, you know, somewhat of a spring training since he didn't really have one. That's when he got injured and had the shoulder surgery on the shoulder joint. So I think that's really promising to think that maybe August 1st, I don't know when, I don't know exactly when 50 days is going to be, but even if it's 40 games, that would be really promising to have Brendan Rodgers back in a Rockies uniform to finish out the 2023 campaign.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely feeling the loss of Brendan Rodgers this season so far. Definitely, he has missed out there. He has missed so much. But I feel like getting him back at any point this season, I'm just like, it's too little too late.
Very much
I'm in a very negative mood today.
I don't notice it only because, look, when the Rockies are playing bad, it's like it's just in the air. So I'm like, it's not you, it's the air. So
Yeah.
I'm not pinning that on you. That's
I
all right.
am the negative cloud right now.
Weird, but not weird. Tigers play Coors for the first time since 2017. That's pretty much the longest. Actually, the Twins have been the longest. They also haven't played at Coors since 2017. They will play the final three games of the year at Coors. That will, of course, be very weird.
That's weird. I think that is the weirdest.
The final week is going to be weird because Dodgers play 4 games at Coors in 3 days. They get to Colorado, and it's a doubleheader. Rockies are really sticking it to the Dodgers, and I don't hate it.
Why is it a doubleheader? Because both teams have off the Monday before the Dodgers come into town.
I don't know.
Why is it a doubleheader?
Great question.
Are we just being dicks to them?
Could be. Don't know.
That's weird. That is weird.
Yeah, that's a weird one. And then the Twins come to town. So
what a way to close out the season.
Quite. We got, as we talked about in the first segment, wonderful to have Elias Diaz as the All-Star. Pretty much it seemed like any of the guys, I thought going into today, we were guaranteed a first-time All-Star. I mean, granted, the only All-Stars on this roster, or former All-Stars, were Charlie Blackmon, who's been hurt. Did a nice job as a DH. Deserved to be in the top 10 of voting. Was not. Of course, CJ Cron was in All-Star last year. Kind of struggled when he was healthy. He had missed a lot of time. Herman Marquez, few starts in April. Of course, he's been on the 60-day IL. And Chris Bryant, who has missed a ton of time too, and just kind of hasn't had those numbers. So that was it. So we were going to have a first-time All-Star. I didn't think it was 50-50 McMahon and Diaz. I thought it was 49-49 McMahon-Diaz, 1% chance Bard, 1% chance Justin Lawrence. Would you have kind of broken your percentage down there, or did you think it was just really only those 2 position players, no real chance for a reliever to kind of get the nod?
I thought there was a chance for a reliever to get the nod because you really never know where they're going to need to fill in the holes. But we've been talking about Diaz being that selection for so long. So I'm happy that it came through.
Yeah.
I think Mac will have a lot more chances in the future too. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
And again, I think there's a chance maybe if somebody does get hurt. Now I know Buddy talked post game that there's a lot of really good catchers in the National League. Mentioned Will Smith, who's only been a one-time All-Star. I mean, he's fantastic. JT Realmuto, he's kind of having somewhat of a down year, but he is one of the best catchers. Sean Murphy will be the starting catcher. But the interesting thing is, we were going back and looking and trying to figure out, like, would the National League take 3 catchers? Are they only going to take 2? Is there a rule of thumb? And I don't really think there's a rule of thumb. I think it typically only have 2 catchers. But the National League in the last 4 All-Star games had been having 3 catchers each and every time. And a lot of that had to do with the legacy guys. Wilson Contreras had started 2 of those games, deservedly so, when he was with the Cubs. And then you also had Yadier Molina and Buster Posey doing that. So there really was no room for other guys. So it's nice that there are going to be 2 new catchers for the National League All-Star team this year.
It's going to be something. It's going to be something.
The pitchers that did make the All-Star team for the National League: for Cincinnati, Alexis Diaz; San Francisco, Camilo Doval; Bryce Elder of Atlanta; Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks; Josiah Gray, first-time All-Star with the Washington Nationals; Josh Hader, 5th-time All-Star with San Diego; Mitch Keller of Pittsburgh; Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers, 10th time for him; Justin Steele, first time for the Cubs; Spencer Strider for Atlanta, first time; Marcus Stroman, 2nd time for the Cubs; Devin Williams, 2nd-time All-Star with the Milwaukee Brewers.
We got a roster.
We do have a roster. Were you happy to see Nick Nicholas Castellanos made the All-Star team?
Yes, I was, because he's at least an all-star in terms of hitting home runs after something horrible has happened.
Oh, boy. Yeah, so do we have to be on alert for the next week? Like, he's going to hit a big one during the game? Or, God forbid, if he's in the home run derby, is there like 28 awful things going to happen?
Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy.
Oh my God. Like, oh, we're also getting news that this happened. Boom, he is not. We're also getting news. So it would all happen. It doesn't even happen over the course of the week. It's all happening on the same day. Okay, keep him out of the derby, please. For America's safety, the world's safety.
Yeah, no, he
Keep
can't.
him out.
He can't be in it. He can't be in it, or else things are going to happen.
Yeah, we don't want anybody getting injured, but if you've been injured at work or anywhere else for that matter, call Backus and Schenker at 222-2222. It's really that easy, because you know what? They're not going to see a dime until you do. And their clients have seen over $1 billion in their 25 years in Denver area. They've got offices in Aurora, Fort Collins, you name it, Inglewood, all over the place. They've got 25 folks on staff, 25 lawyers, 100 folks on staff. And look, they're working, again, for free. They're consulting with you for free. Give them a call. No harm, no foul there. Backus and Schenker, ColoradoLaw.net.
Backus and Schenker.
Because Backus and Schenker wins. You'll be winning on Game Time tickets, either because you're going to wait closer to the start of an event on the day of. I know that could be a little bit stressful, but also maybe you're not sure what to do. And if the price is right, you'll go in and snipe. Well, Game Time is going to allow you to do that a lot longer than so many of these other sites. So you're going to save that way. Or if it's a big event that, look, you just want to get in the door, we'll get in the door with an extra $20 in your pocket when you use promo code DNVR on Game Time apps. And again, for all the diehards that are out there that have signed up to the DNVR.com, you know all the great benefits. We've talked about it before with the 15% here at the bar. But even if you can't get down to the corner of Colfax and York, you're getting 20% off all the gear at DNVRlocker.com. You're also getting a free shirt each and every year with your annual membership, access to the Diehards Only Discord, where the diehards are popping off all around the world. We got a couple Canadians. Hats to the Canucks up there that are doing it for the Rockies, because diehards can be found anywhere.
Yes.
Especially the Diehards Only Discord. So get yourself signed up to the DNVR.com. I haven't seen any of the gossip in the Diehards Only Discord yet. That's like, I save like an hour at the end of the night some days just getting caught up with all the shenanigans that these guys are getting into. Or looking at some of the other rooms too, because it's not just Rockies, Broncos. There's a wrestling one that I like to jump in. Shout out to the homies that are all in there. But the gossip that you've got is a little bit different than what we've got behind the Die-Hard Only Discord channel.
I think we've got some really good gossip tonight.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. So the gist of this game, I'm going to give Patrick a piece of news, quote unquote news, and he's going to tell me how truthful that news is. If there's any truth to it, if there's a little, if it's straight up fiction. Are you ready?
I am. And you know what? Dog Pound wants to know about Charlie Blackmon in the chat. Again, go ahead, jump in there.
Yeah.
The DNVR Sports channel live on YouTube. Even before we go live, you can put your questions and comments in there.
Yeah.
No, Charlie Blackmon's going to be back. Will it be in time for the trade deadline? Will Charlie even get traded? we've got plenty of time to talk about in the next couple weeks, but he's
Yeah.
still recovering from that fractured fifth metacarpal
But
in
not
his
out
right
for
hand.
the season.
No, no, not for the
I feel
season.
like hand fractures are one of the quicker
Yeah.
recoveries. Such a small bone.
And the way Charlie goes about his business, drinking a lot of water, he will definitely be back. But thanks for the questions on that.
Yeah, no, he takes his recovery seriously. All right, this is a really messy piece of gossip, Patrick. Did you hear that Bryce Harper's car was stolen outside of Citizens Bank Park over the weekend? Is this even true?
So, yeah, I saw that it got posted and didn't follow up to oh, man, I got to see every angle of this. But it looked like he was outside in a crowd of people on the phone talking with a security person. Yeah, no, I left it right here. It was that red and green thing. It had, a furry fin on the back, like the Philly Fanatic. I assume he drives around in kind of a Philly Fanatic
No.
Camaro. He's got something like that.
Get the hell out
And
of here.
it took off without him. And so, yeah, I think that was legit, wasn't it?
You know what? So apparently it's not legit. I mean, we're still not really sure why he was so flustered on the phone outside of the park. But Tim Kelly of Phillies Nation reported that Bryce Harper said his car was not stolen.
Okay.
So if Bryce Harper says his car wasn't stolen, but you know what? Then again, Nick Castellanos hit a home run the next day. Was that for, Bryce losing his car? Was that for Twitter dying over the weekend?
Ooh.
Who's to say? Who's to say? Something bad happened because Nicholas hit a home run.
So it wasn't stolen, but is it missing? So, you know what I'm saying? Is he a semantics guy, this Mr. Harper?
Oh my gosh,
I'm
I hate that
curious.
you're a semantics guy. I'm
No,
exhausted.
I'm just going by what Bryce said. So maybe that's his workaround. So maybe there is something going on.
You think I'll read the. I don't know. He said apparently everything is all good, whatever that means.
Could be a
So,
prank. Could be a prank. And
It could be
Castellanos-
prank, or he could have just been upset about something else. He could have been frustrated about something else. Maybe he was getting picked up and his ride disappeared.
He's on
Who
the
knows?
phone going, look, the guy with the shopping cart of pretzels said he was going to drive down. He was going to give me one. Yeah, until we can actually break down that audio. We need a John Boy lip reading segment.
We
is what
really
need.
do. We really do. All right, this next one. This is a little heavy too. Did you hear that Justin Lawrence of the Colorado Rockies got into a physical altercation after Friday night's game?
No, not even in a joking matter. Did he wrestle a hot dog? I don't know.
He was viciously attacked by Profar and Bard's kids. We have a picture that he posted on
Aw.
social media. Yeah, I'm assuming these were taken by Kyle Cooper or maybe someone else from the Rockies, but these are
that's
these are
awesome.
great. Yeah, he was just in this nice playful little fight with these kids who have a lot of energy. This is hysterical though. This was so funny.
That's great. The Lion of Panama. He's hanging out with the Cubs. It's great to see.
Yeah,
do
no,
like that.
this is cute. And also the best part of the fireworks games are seeing how excited all of the players' kids are to just run around on the field and they get to see the fireworks, and the fireworks are so good at Coors Field. But it looked like everyone had such a good weekend.
Were they allowing people on the field? I think they were, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
There was a lot of speculation we could be getting a little bit of weather on Friday, maybe on Saturday, so we can't because it could be too wet.
There was no weather.
Here we go. The baseball gods intervened. I appreciate
There
that.
was no weather. Speaking of the weather, how about this? Did you hear that the Coors Field ground crew got the MVP chain after this homestand between the Hail game and 2 nights of fireworks?
I hope that that's true. That's really good. Now, they only do it typically after wins, but you know what? Special case, special MVP chain. I hope each guy got one or at least got to wear it. I pray. I'm just going to say a quiet prayer in the 1.5 second pause between me stopping my sentence and you answering that they did get one.
We don't know, but they definitely should have. I know no one worked harder this weekend than the grounds crew at Coors Field. They deserve MVP chains for sure. But yeah, I know we all appreciate their hard work.
They just crushed it. And they had a little bit of fun too. I don't know if you got a chance to talk about. I did have my phone up in time in trying to get all the content on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You had 2 of the grounds crew folks stripped out into shorts and ran out on the field, did the full belly flop. And then 5 minutes later, they were back in their gear, getting rid of the hail. That was definitely something to remember.
Never
It was
seen
amazing.
anything like it.
It was awesome.
It was
very awesome.
absolutely wild.
Late night, but it was awesome.
It was good. Patrick, did you hear that Nolan Jones out of the lineup now, all because KB is back off the IL?
I had heard that. That's what some people thought. For the past 6 games, in fact, going back to the start of the Dodger series, Nolan Jones only started 3 games. And even though Buddy said, hey, Chris Bryant coming back, even CJ Cron to an extent, is not going to impact playing time. And you go, well, that can't be true because he's only started half of the games. But it doesn't actually have to do with Chris Bryant being back, does it?
No, it does not. See, you are so well versed on your Rockies news. No, Nolan Jones was the best man at his brother's wedding over the weekend, and I believe it was back on the East Coast. So he was not around this weekend, but not because KB elbowed him out of the way.
And he was, I believe, he drove the Zamboni down the aisle with the bride. I assumed it was his
brother's a
hockey
hockey
playing
guy,
brother.
yeah.
I assumed. Is that what hockey players do? Do they get married on the ice somewhere?
No, you know what? They didn't get married on the ice, but you know how when they drive off after the reception and, you know, you tie the cans and you have the just married sign, they drive off in a Zamboni.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I'm down
no,
with
that's,
that.
yeah.
So if you're not, folks, they're saying, hey, why isn't Nolan Jones playing? He's not here. That's not.
Everything's fine.
He's not an
Everything's
option.
fine.
Everything's fine.
Everything's fine. Did you hear Matt Cook's walk-up song today? Walk-out music, rather. When he took the play, he walked out to
No.
Stacy's mom.
Oh, I did hear that. I did not think that was for him.
That's his walkout music because his wife is named Stacy and he thinks it's funny. Is that true, Patrick?
Is what true that was his walkout music? Are you saying
No,
that
the reason behind it.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I hope not. I mean, a lot of times people just hear like the chorus or they're like, hey, this is the title of the song. I'm going to apply it. And then you go, have you actually listened to the lyrics of the song? Because it's not how you think it's going. I would have thought maybe if he had a daughter named Stacy and he's like, hey, my wife, Stacy's mom, she's got it going on.
I mean, that would be good.
That would be great.
That would be good. Imagine if 2 Rockies had kids named after songs.
Ooh.
Because Charlie Blackmon.
I think Stacy's been officially taken out of the American
Stacy's
female rotation.
It's not.
for children.
It's not a popular name right now. No. Matt Cook didn't even pick his walkout music. It was just. He's on shuffle right now.
That was my guess.
Yeah.
Was that wasn't his, but hey, I'm down for it, and I like it. I like the idea that. You know what? Go ahead and start spreading that gossip as if it were true. No one gets hurt because of it. Because if you do spread gossip, that is not true.
All right.
Shame, shame, shame.
Shame, shame, shame. I know. All right. How about I got one more for you? Patrick, did you hear that if Shohei Ohtani ended up with the Mets, Keith Hernandez would not let him wear his number 17? Patrick, is that true?
I think it's retired.
Yeah, it is retired. But like you can, but of course, if someone big comes through, you know, the person who had the number can say, you have my blessing to wear it. Like if it's a star like Ohtani,
I don't know.
if that was like the one thing holding him back, because like that's a guy who can't change his number. He is the greatest talent of our generation.
That's a fair point. They could possibly unretire it or keep it retired and then also allow Ohtani to wear it. But it's different if you retire a number's done. Like it doesn't go back into rotation at all. It's different if you're like, hey, Matt Holliday, can somebody wear your number 5? And Matt's like, sure. I mean, you haven't retired it for me yet, so I guess so. Yeah, wow. Was he kidding? I hope he was kidding.
You know what? I don't know if he was kidding, but he said it.
Whoa.
He said it. They were talking about this on the Mets broadcast. But yeah, that might be the case. I mean, if
Interesting.
Ohtani coming to the Mets is a real possibility, I'm sure a real conversation would happen.
Right.
But right now, that is dead ass serious.
I'm trying to think if that's ever happened. Maybe once. I'm sure it has. There's no law of like, well, the Mets have to fold as a franchise because they're unretiring
I mean,
numbers.
they might as well. I mean, also, I guess think about it though. Bryce Harper is such a big star, wore number 34, and then did not take that number with him to the Phillies because, of course, Roy Halladay.
Sure. Yeah.
And
It's a chance
Bryce
to kind of
Harper is a
rebrand
huge
a little
star
bit.
too. Yeah,
It's an
you know it
opportunity,
is.
so
It's
it's not that bad,
It's
yeah.
a chance to rebrand a little bit.
What would be a good number if you were Ohtani? Like 00 for O? I mean, that might look interesting.
Yeah,
Or just
yeah,
an
but
O?
isn't
Zero?
whatchamacallit?
Well, Marcus Stroman had it.
Yeah.
And then I think Taijuan Walker had 0.
Does Ottavino have 00, or is he just 10?
He's just 10.
He's just 10.
He brought it back when he went to the Yankees of like, hey, you know how everyone's talking about there's no single digits left? You know, number 2 was the last one for Derek Jeter. And you go, there's still a digit. It's 0. And now, of course, worn by Mr. 24th perfect game, Domingo Herman. So, yeah, that would be interesting. I'm a 00. I don't know. You go 71. Number 7 might look good on Ohtani as well. I think it would be an opportunity to rebrand. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
Maybe he goes somewhere where his number is already available.
Look, whoever pays him the most money, that's the number he cares about most, not 17.
Do you think?
It's how many zeros.
Do you think the Rockies would let him have 17 if he came here? I think they would let him have whatever he wanted.
They would let him have Larry Walker's name on the back of his jersey, a Dinger Kids Club patch on his right sleeve, do whatever. The entire team wears Ohtani's name on their sleeve. He's actually buying his own sponsorship for the Rockies.
Oh my
no
gosh.
way in hell is Shohei Ohtani going to play for the Colorado
There's
Rockies.
absolutely no chance.
What's less than there's no chance in hell? There's no chance in heaven.
There's no chance in heaven,
purgatory.
hell, purgatory.
There's no chance.
It's getting
Period.
biblical up in here.
But you know what? If we need some content during this offseason, we are not above saying, what, Shohei Ohtani? Sign a free agent
Would
deal
he?
in Denver? We are not above it, folks.
That will be an episode. It will be an episode in the depths of the offseason.
We actually did it last offseason.
We did!
And it wasn't a 1-second episode of Welcome to the DNVR Rockies Podcast. I'm Patrick Lyons. I'm Suzie Hunter. No. And then we hit the music. Like, we'll talk about it. We'll kick it about a little bit. Talk about why it doesn't make sense. Talk about who he could sign with, but maybe.
I know we had a lot of episodes about Judge.
Yeah.
He played us all.
He did.
He really did.
He did. I'm played out a little bit.
Yeah,
but,
this has been a long week.
Yeah. But we've got All-Star Game stuff coming up. Rockies are going to Houston. We'll catch up tomorrow with Brendan Vogt to talk about, could maybe Calvin Booth be a 2-time GM of the year? And would the Rockies institute Calvin Booth as their GM? I mean, hey, it worked for the Nuggets. I know he doesn't know anything about baseball probably, but there has to be something the Rockies can learn from the Nuggets, especially their rise. And we'll talk with Brendan Vogt about that. I'm sure he's not going to want to talk about his St. Louis Cardinals, so I won't poke that bear a little bit. We'll preview the series with Houston and Kyle Freeland and the fact that there's a very interesting matchup in Houston over the course of the next 2 days. But follow us for all the conversation on Twitter at DNVR_Rockies. At Patrick D. Lyons is where I can be found.
And you can find me at the Suzie Hunter on all platforms.
Weird, wild, wonderful, and momentous. But of course, you know what they say about baseball podcast and momentum.
Patrick, what do they say?
It's only as good as your next show. So this one's going to be pretty good. Join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. on the DNVR Sports Channel live on YouTube.